Hi, this is Paul Hitchcock with the Asset Protection Estate Planning firm BarthCalderon, and thanks for checking into our Culture of Asset Protection TV or YouTube channel here. And a big issue that our experts hear a lot about when they're putting on their workshops across the country is vacation home and how to properly pass a vacation home from one generation to the next. So it's summer, we're all thinking about vacations right now, and so my colleague Brad Barth, who's a top speaker on estate and asset protection planning to a ton of groups across the country, put on a really great short video on how to properly pass a vacation home to the next generation. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.
How many of us have fond memories of the family vacation home where the immediate family as well as the extended family get together for a weekend or a week retreat with fishing and hiking, enjoying Thanksgiving dinner and enjoying everyone's company? And a lot of my clients who have such arrangements also want to maintain that family retreat, that family legacy within the family. And so they ask me, Brad, how do we create a structure that will allow this particular unique asset, the family retreat, to be able to stay in the family within the bloodline? So a lot of times, some mistakes that are made, they simply just don't account for it at all, and they leave it in the will, they leave it in the trust, and they just hope, based upon the divisionary provisions, that it will wind up among the family members equally, and everyone will just kind of get along hunky-dory. Well, a couple of things happen. First of all, kids may not, they may fall out of love with it, and they may not be able to have the expenses to pay for it. There's upkeep of property taxes, maintenance, utility bills, all that costs money. And not all of your family members are going to be on equal footing, but yet they may receive an interest in a property that they don't want. And they may wind up being in joint ownership with a property that they don't want. And so you can turn this lovely family retreat into a real sour apple that could cause problems and ultimately cause liquidations of the assets and division among the family members. So I kind of jotted down a handful of ways, I would think not ways, but the initial mistakes I've seen and some possible solutions to deal with this unique asset, in addition to all the other equal division among the assets. So one of the first things I've seen is you're just putting it inside a will. And then this, we've already mentioned it, equal division, but yet not providing the adequate money to pay for it. So here, if you want to divide it among the kids, I would recommend that it be put inside a trust. So at least this way with the trust, you'll have centralized management. One of the family members will be able to take control of it. Now, this is also assuming you don't have any animosity among the kids as far as control is concerned. Like, why does daughter number 1 have control and son number 2 doesn't have it? So that could be an issue also. So maybe a special trustee, maybe a professional trustee to manage that assets. The kids get along, maybe putting them on together. But my recommendation would always be to have one trustee in these types of arrangements. And then to fund it with some insurance. Either you put some money in an account on behalf of the property to pay for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years or 100 years, if you got that kind of money into an account that's managed by the trustee for the specific purpose of the upkeep and maintenance of this true family legacy. If you don't have the funds readily available, I've also had clients who get life insurance policies. They buy a life insurance policy on maybe the patriarch of the family. So when the property actually transitions to the successor trustee, an immediate splash of cash comes in, maybe $1 million, that also will be used and held in trust and invested for the specific and limited purpose of maintaining the property, its grounds keeps and upkeep. So that's another area. One of the other challenges, just kind of backing up regarding this, leaving it as a will, that it may wind up in defaulting into what's called tenant in common, and therefore allowing any one of the kids to sell their otherwise unwanted interest. And then the remaining family members who do want it are now going to be co-owners with a potential stranger. And I don't think anybody wants that for the family retreat, the family legacy. And whenever we're dealing with real estate and we have guests on real estate, you always want to consider an LLC. So even if you were to create an LLC today, which would be the recommended way to hold the property anyway, that LLC membership interest, kind of like stock in the property, can then be distributed among the owners via the trust, or the trust can own the membership interest in an LLC. But more importantly, when you have an LLC, not only do you have limited liability and asset protection from the activities happening on the property, so if one family member brings their buddies on the property and they're hunting and they're using ATVs and swimming in the lake and something happens, God forbid, now all of a sudden you have some liability protection to all the members because the LLC provides limited liability as opposed to unlimited liability by everyone owning interest individually. And also by having the operating agreement on the property, we now can put provisions, partnership provisions, regarding how that property is to be used. For example, who's going to own the shares and what percentage of the shares, or who's going to be the one that manages the account and maintains the grounds. Let's see, everyone can have a voice. All the family members can have a voice in like a management council, but yet only one person is actually doing the day in and day out management, whether it's maintaining the property, signing contracts with groundskeepers, associations. So you have centralized management, but the operating agreement will require every family member to be involved. And now you also can include extended family members, the in-laws. So your kids, spouses can have a say, but yet it's just a say. Only the actual manager of the LLC or the trustee of the trust would be the one who ultimately controls taking their words of wisdom in consideration. What happens if, and also the LLC will prevent the property from falling outside the family. So say again, one family member doesn't, you don't want that third party stranger coming in being a co-owner. We can require rights of first refusal. So if family member A doesn't want the property, family member A must sell to the other family members to keep the property in the family, to keep that family legacy. Now, they can go out and get a fair market value for it, but then at least the other family members have the right of first refusal before it goes out to a third party to keep that property in the family. And then also you can determine what the prices are, because there could be a big conflict among the prices. So you can have a set price that's automatically indexed for inflation. You can have what we call the appraisal or battle of the appraisal, so that everyone agrees that at the fair market value at time of sale or transfer, or whatever the then legit appraised value is, that's the value. And if the buyer says I want a high value and the sellers say I want a low value, or I think I got that backwards, the seller wants a high value and the buyers want a low value, then you can even have provisions that say you have a battle of the appraisers. The buyer will get their appraiser, the seller gets their appraiser, and then those two appraisers will appoint an independent appraiser that will be the final determining factor. That kind of helps solve that conflict if it gets that way. But at least having provisions for that kind of outlier situation is important, rather than just leaving it out to unagreed upon price, which usually kind of puts you right back in the same situation. And also payment terms. If they do want to sell, we don't want to create an economic hardship on the other people that you want to have the property, because then it may wind up having an indirect forced sale anyway. So if someone does want to sell, similar to kind of like a mortgage, fine, we'll just buy you out, but we'll buy you out over a 5-year period or a 10-year period, and whatever the case may be. And I think a couple of things to consider is, schedules of use. That's always an interesting thing, because every property is going to have a season. So if you have a vacation home in Colorado for skiing, you're going to probably want the winter months. But if you got a property in the beach in Florida, you're probably going to want the summer months. So also having a schedule or some way to pre-negotiate among the family members who gets what window of time over a period of time, so you're not causing conflict within how the property is even being used. Again, that can be resolved through a operating agreement. And then also, lastly, is if you have somebody that says, listen, I only use it very, very rarely, again, either you're in or you're out. You can't just say, well, I only want to pay for the 1 week of the year, but I'm still a 1/2 owner of the property. So the other half owner winds up having to pay everything, because the other guy is saying, I just want to use it for a week. I only want to pay for my week. So a provision in the operating agreement can say either you're in as a 50% owner, I don't care how much you use it, or you're out and you sell the interest, again, falling back on those rights of first refusal and the fair market value determination and the payout schedule. So these are all very important ways on how to keep that property in the family line, but they should be written up properly. So you have to have a combination of a trust along with an LLC with specific operating agreement provisions to kind of account for all these issues. So if you have this type of property, or maybe within your family you have this type of property, and you are considering how do we keep this within the family lineal bloodline, then please reach out to me. I can help you come up with a good workable solution for both you and your family that integrates properly within your existing estate structure. My name is Brad Barth. I'm a partner here at BarthCalderon, where we plan today for all of your tomorrows. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.